The SEGA Saturn is one of my favorite consoles. There's just something about the system that has always appealed to me. I never had one of my own when I was younger, when it was released, but a friend of mine did, and I remember staying up well into the night playing Guardian Heroes. Obviously, now as an adult collector and connoisseur, I've acquired a few Saturns, and they give me a great deal of joy. Now, I've had a couple of SAROO cartridges for a while now too, and that's a flash cartridge that lets you run games from an SD card, tricking the Saturn into thinking that they're coming from the disc. The nice thing is, it doesn't replace the disk drive or disable it. You can still use original game discs too. It also unlocks region-free play, which makes the whole Saturn library far more accessible. A little over a year ago, when SAROO firmware version 0.5 was released, it included a great new feature. Support for animated GIF backgrounds and custom background music in the menu. It gives the Saturn a bit of flair and lets you personalize your experience. At the time, a bunch of cool backgrounds were created, and this GitHub repository, maintained by williamdsw, seemed to be the place to get them from. I started using this Snatcher theme and background music, and I really enjoyed it. But as you can see, there have been no new additions to this repository since May of 2024. That's over a year ago, which is right after the feature was added. Search the internet, and most of what you will find will be referencing this repository. I find that very disappointing. It's a great feature, but there doesn't seem to have been much uptake. And over a year later, there's very little community content out there making use of this feature. So I wanted to start making a few of my own backgrounds. And when I started experimenting with custom backgrounds, I thought it would be pretty straightforward. I'm no stranger to image manipulation. Creating image sequences, no problem. But turning them into a GIF that would actually display properly on the Saturn, that was a minefield. Everything I tried looked fine on the PC, but once I loaded it onto the SAROO, it all fell apart. There isn't much documentation either. The SAROO official releases page only mentions the file size limit, which is 300 kilobytes, and of course the file name and where to place it. And the only advice that I found elsewhere on the internet just said to use an online GIF maker like easygif.com. But that didn't get me anywhere. Let me show you what happened. I added the images in. Here we go. I've got a collection of Sonic the Hedgehog images that I created, that I got from a cartoon, from the 90s cartoon. Drop them in. Let's get my SD card. Here it is. Let's delete the Snatcher files there. Safely eject the disk or the card. Let's see what we get. And this is what I get. The colors are all messed up and glitchy. No matter what I tried, what settings I tweaked on easygif.com, I just couldn't get it to work. After a lot of digging and testing, I finally got something working by using FFmpeg commands to create the GIF for me instead. I realized if I was struggling with this, others probably were too, and gave up long ago, which might explain why there's been very little in the way of community-created works. So I wrote a Windows batch script to take a group of still images and reliably turn them into an animated GIF that works with SAROO. No guesswork, no corrupted colors. And in this video, I'm going to show you how it works. Here I have a folder which I've called SAROO Tools. It's got two batch scripts in it. One for creating a GIF from a series of still images, and one for just creating a music file that's compatible with SAROO. That's actually relatively straightforward to do. You don't really need this, but but it's kind of handy just to have it all in one place. So we're interested right now in making our animated GIF. Let's put my Sonic the Hedgehog pictures in the folder with the batch file. Now notice I've named them Sonic 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. The script will assume that the alphanumeric sequence that they appear in is going to be the sequence that they should be animated in. Let's run the GIF and see what happens. Oh, it's opened in a different window. Let me just pull it over. Here it is. I'll just make it a little bigger so it's probably easier to see. Right. Ensure all source image files are placed in a directory with the batch file. These should ideally already be all the same size. However, this utility will resize every image to 320 by 240 pixels regardless. So if you've got some images that are like widescreen 16:9 aspect ratio, it'll squash these up to the 4:3 aspect at that resolution. So ideally you want to make sure your pictures are already at that resolution, but whatever you prefer really. It is assumed that the image order is alphanumeric. Please ensure that your images are named so that they are in the expected sequence. Press a key to continue. Now it searches for FFmpeg. If you don't have FFmpeg installed and accessible, then you need to install it because this is how this works. You need to get FFmpeg. So it's found image files in the folder, as you can see, Sonics 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, as I placed them there. Should this animation have a pause frame in the loop? Now this animation is of Sonic and Tails winking. I don't want them to just wink constantly because it look like they've got something in their eyes. I just want it to be a long pause on a frame with them just with their thumbs up. And every 10 seconds or so, then play the animation. So the frame that I want it to pause on is Sonic 1 ping. That's the base image. So I'm going to say yes. And the list number, yeah, I'm pointing at the screen with my finger. You can't see that. I have to remember to use the mouse. Enter the list number of the frame to use as the pause frame. So the list number is this number here on the left where it listed them. So the list number is number 1, Sonic 1.ping, number 1. That's the one I want to use as the pause frame. Enter duration of the pause frame in milliseconds. So I'd like a 10-second pause. 1,000 milliseconds in a second, so that's 10,000. And the duration in milliseconds of each animation frame, I think 1/10 of a second. So 100 milliseconds per frame. So it'll play Sonic 1 and hold that for 1,000 milliseconds, 10 seconds, and then it'll play each of the rest for 1/10 of a second each, before then coming back to 1 and then holding that one again. We need to generate a color palette from one of the frames to ensure that all frames conform to the same palette. Otherwise, color corruption can occur. This is what I think the problem was when I was using EasyGIF. All of the stills that I got from the video of the cartoon had slightly different colors. Obviously, as well, more colors than were available in the limited palette that the Saturn can show. I need to pick a frame. If you've got an animation that has a bit of variation between frames, you want to pick the frame that has the most color in it, the widest color range. But in this one, it doesn't really make a lot of difference which one I pick because they're all very, very close to each other. So I'm going to just pick number 1. And it's converting the images into a GIF. Using frame 1, create an animated GIF, cleaning up temporary files. It's got rid of all the temporary files it created. Output saved to SAROO output main menu BG GIF. It says if your file has a numeric suffix, then this will need to be removed when transferred to the SAROO. So I'll show you here. This is the output folder. It's just created this output folder. And inside, there's my final GIF image. If that file name already existed in that folder, it would just add a number to the end of it. So it's saying when you transfer it over to your SD card, then if it's got a number, you've got to get rid of that number. Otherwise, it won't work. It's given me the opportunity to see what the GIF looks like. So I'm going to say yes. Now it uses FFplay, which is part of FFmpeg. If FFplay isn't on your system, if for some reason you installed FFmpeg without FFplay, it will try to load it in whatever your default GIF viewer is on your system. But let me just say yes. Let's put it on a different window. I'll bring it across. Here it is. This is what it looks like. Let's just wait a few seconds for it. There's the animation there. It looks pretty good on my computer screen, but does it look any good on the Saturn? Well, let me get my SD card. Plug that in. Let's get rid of that. There we go. SAROO. Copy that over to there. Replace the file that's already there. So now this is my new GIF that I've just created. I just need to eject the disk safely. And let's plug it in. Here we go. And there it is. Fantastic. And there's the wink. Excellent. Let's have a look at another type of animation. Let's get rid of all these Sonic images. And I've got this Batman. This series of Batman frames that I got from Batman the Animated Series. It's just Batman standing on a roof and his cape is animated. Now let me just move these files over. They are already in order. So this is the image. As you can see, this background has this very, very cool gradient. Now, with a limited color palette, that's not going to look very good. So what's going to happen is it's going to dither the colors. So it'll look okay. It won't look amazing, but it'll look okay. That's the limitations that we have with the hardware that we're going to be using. But it's not bad. It's not bad. So I've got my files in place. Let's run sarogif.bat. Oh, let's put it over there again, hasn't it? Let's make you bigger. Right. Same old stuff. It's found 12 images. The animation will not have a pause frame. It's just going to be a nice loop. Now, duration in milliseconds of each animation frame. Now, what would be a good one? Let's do say 60 milliseconds. Generate a color palette from one of the frames. It doesn't really matter. Again, they're all very similar. They're all almost identical. So I'll just pick one in the middle, say 6. Doesn't really matter. And it's created a file name. As you can see, it's created a file name called mainmenu_bg_0.gif. So it's added that _0 to the end because the file name that we need already exists. Okay, let's view the created file. It's on the other screen. Here we go. So that's what it looks like on the computer. You might be able to make out that there's lots of specks in Batman's silhouette. That's the dithering because it's not pure black in Batman's silhouette. It's not pure black, so there's a little bit of color shifting, so it's dithered it slightly. Also, the background is very dotty. I mean, it's very hard to make out here, but you'll notice when we put it on the Saturn. Now, the reason why I chose such a short frame time, fit 60 milliseconds, is because when it's playing on a computer, it's faster than it actually plays on the Saturn. The Saturn plays this slower, and I'll show you that. Let me just put the SD card in so I can copy the file over. Right, let's delete the Sonic the Hedgehog one. Let's put Batman on there. And eject the card safely. See there, you see it's slower. But that's not bad. That looks pretty good to me. We've got a dithered background, but that's probably about as good as it will ever get. It's pretty cool. Let me show you the music side of things as well. Okay, so I have another script here called SAROOmusic.bat. Now what that's going to do, that will look for any video or audio files in this folder. And here I've got a video and Batman theme MP4 and Sonic theme WAV, a video file and an audio file, just to demonstrate. So Batman theme is just a video I found off YouTube of the Batman movie theme, which sounds pretty cool when you use it with that Batman GIF. And the Sonic theme is the Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon theme from the 90s that accompanies the animation that this came from. But I treated that in Audacity. I made it so that it loops nice and smoothly. Let's run the batch. It's pretty straightforward. There's not much to this. I think you'll be able to understand it without my advice. In short, all source audio video files are placed in the directory with the batch file. The utility will convert the audio into the PCM format required by the SAROO. It's found FFmpeg. Again, if it doesn't find it, it won't run. It'll tell you to go and get it. It's found these two files. Which one do I want to process? Well, I'm only going to show you the Sonic one. I don't want to play the Batman one because I think I might get some kind of copyright notice, and I really just want to avoid that. So the Sonic theme, I think I'll probably be relatively safe with that. We'll see. Oh, yes, sorry, I just read this. Do you want to process all of the files in one batch? If you just got a bunch of files and you just want to convert them all, you can just say yes, and everything it found here will just convert it into the appropriate file. But it will add a number at the end of each one. But in this case, I just want to do the one file. It's probably better to just do one at a time anyway. I just wanted to give people that option. So I'm just going to say no. The number of the file I want to process is number 1, Sonic theme. Do I want the audio to loop continuously? Yes or no? Well, yes, I do. If you pick the wrong thing and you change your mind, the only difference is, let me just show you. The only difference is the suffix on the end. A single playing file is just called bgsound.pcm. But if you want it to loop, it's bgsound_r.pcm. Just add _r to the end of one of those, and it'll loop. If it's looping and you don't want it to loop, you only want it to play once, take _r off. In almost all cases, you will probably want it to loop. I want it to loop, so I'm going to say yes. Sonic theme WAV file processed, output file in SAROO output, blah, 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 BG sound, RPCM. Again, the same notice as in my other script. If your file has numeric suffixes, it will need to be removed. These are the valid file names. Do you want to hear the conversion? Yeah, let's give it a listen. I just realized, I don't think I've got the computer's audio going into OBS. Nevertheless, it is working and it is looping, which is pretty cool. Let's put that onto the cartridge. I'm going to copy both of these over so they go together. Let's delete that Batman one. Pop Sonic over. Both of those files, and now they're there. That is the animated GIF, and that is the looping music. There you go. And here's the music, and the winking. Looks good to me. Well, that's pretty much it. I've made the scripts available on my GitHub page, which is here, github.com/widge-5/SAROO_tools. I'll put a link down in the description. There's a bit of information here. There's those Batman and Sonic examples. If you want very specific instructions about how to use each of these tools, you can click here. If you want to like and subscribe, I would very much appreciate it. Tell your friends about this as well. Send them a link to this video. And if you want to support me in all the things that I do, then I do have a Ko-fi page. I'll put a link in the description below. But I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you find it useful. I tell you what, I would very much like to see a whole host of new animated backgrounds appear. I don't care if you use my tool to do it or not, I just want to see more stuff doing it. And seeing as Mr. williamdsw set this repository up a year ago, why not send him your content? I'm sure he's still maintaining this, even though he hasn't updated it for a year. And if he's not maintaining it, then let me know and I'll set up my own repository. But I don't see any reason why we can't use this one. Yeah, I look forward to seeing what everybody creates. And, well, that's it. That's all I have to say. Well, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.